Hey guys, it's Bando here, and I'm not feeling a bit too well today, so I apologise if I sound a bit stuffed up, but I wanted to get a video out for you. And today I'm just going to be covering what units from 40k can we use in 30k, and kind of how difficult it is to make them work. No, I think I've covered this in a previous video, but I really wanted to go over it again, a bit more visually, and really discuss my reasoning, what you need to do, and you know where I'm really coming from, why I think it's okay to use these kits. So I apologise first of all if you can hear the fan in the background, because I'm not feeling too well. I'm just constantly overheating, so I just need that running to keep the air going. So first up, we've got the classic Space Marine Tactical Squad. The classic Space Marine Tactical Squad is a kit that most of us know. It is packed full of Mark 6 and Mark 7 Marines, with a little bit of Mark 8 flavour in there, and has lots of different options for different units, different weapon loadout, something. And the good news is that depending on when you play in the Heresy is what you can use out of this kit. So for a start, the special weapons, the heavy weapons, most of them can be used straight off the bat. The only one that can't really be used is the grav gun, because I believe it's a graviton gun, not a grav gun, or something like that. Same with the combi grav. I don't think that's available to anyone in the Heresy. If it is, it's going to be the Iron Hands only. The Mark 6 parts in here can be used for any point in the Heresy, thanks to Games Workshop's retcon, which is fine. I got no problem with that. The Mark 7 bits really can only be used for the late Heresy, the Siege of Terror. However, with a little bit of work and some rivets, such as those you can get from Singe Industries, you can turn the Mark 7 armour into Mark 5 armour quite well. So if you've got a lot of these guys, and you know, if you've got a lot of these guys lying around and you want to use them, it's not a problem. You can do it nice and easy, and you know, it takes a little bit of work, a little bit of green stuff, but you can get some really good, unique looking models out of it. And the only changes I'd make are the weapons, personally. So the Godwin pattern bolter is very iconic as being a modern 40k or pre-Indomitus era 40k bolter. Some people very much balk at it. It was available at the time. I think it was available in Heresy. I don't think it was much later in the Heresy or the Scouring at best. But it's definitely one of the easiest things to swap out and make them look more Heresy, which is just swap them out for a bolter from the Mark 6, 4 or 3 kit. So yeah, again, very little work needed to get these guys working in a Heresy setting, especially if you're doing late war Imperial Fists, White Scars, Blood Angels, Salamanders, Dark Angels now as well, now that we've got confirmation that Dark Angels are at the Siege as well. Yeah, so any of those would be absolutely fine to use the majority of this kit. It's a good selection for bits, and yeah, I think it's a good kit to use for the Heresy. Just, you know, you have to make sure people know this is a Siege of Terror army. But as long as you've made an effort to make them look Heresy, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Next up is the Assault Squad, or the Blood Angels Assault Squad. Now the Assault Squad, this is the first part of this. This image I wanted to put here. I'm going to talk about the squad later as well. This is a despoiler squad. This is all this is. So this can be used in the exact... everything I've said for this last, this can be used for this as well. But this is your bolt pistol chainsaw loadout. So these are perfectly acceptable. You know, late war Siege of Terror Blood Angels would be absolutely fine. The Death Company. I love the Death Company. I have a Death Company 30k army, or the start of one. This colour scheme was used and is mentioned in at least 2 different books as being something the Blood Angels do when they think they're going into a suicide mission. These models are great. Again, these would be perfect for a Siege of Terror force. They're a bit more ostentatious than I like for Heresy. But at the end, you know, I think that's kind of starting to creep in. There is a bit of sort of relic-ish kind of feeling. You know, people are starting to notice that the acts of faith affect things like demons, so they are starting to get those 40k elements creep in. This guy at the back on the right hand side, I love that. He looks amazing. Not a big fan of the guy's helmet on the left though. But again, good source of bits. Pick one of these up and scatter it among your, you know, regular units. It's even got a Mark IV helmet in there, which is pretty cool. The veteran squad for the Dark Angels is a similar, you know, a similar sort of situation where you've got a good selection of bits. Luckily, the only ones where you can see the legs are both wearing Mark VI armour. So this is basically a drop-in for any Dark Angels force. You throw some Mark III arms on some of these guys, and Mark III heads, and a Mark III pack. They'd look great. They'd look like, you know, Dark Angels veterans. The swords, the weapons, the backpacks, they all fit in really nicely with a Dark Angels force. So, yeah, you've got some Mark VII heads in there, which could, you know, be Sarum pattern or thrown in for Siege of Terror veterans. The only thing I would swap out is the guns, you know, the bolt pistols and the Goblin pattern bolters, and the Storm bolter. Space Wolves. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say it, but yeah, same thing. You've got Mark VII stuff, so you're going to want to convert that into being Mark V. The bolters, you're probably going to swap those out for Umbra, Tigris, or whatever they are, patterns. And the helmets, well, everyone knows Space Wolves don't particularly wear helmets. You've even got one of the awful wolf-style helmet in this kit. And, again, all of this for the Grey Hunters goes for the Blood Pack, or whatever they're called, Blood Claws, kit as well. You get a lot more bolt pistols and chainswords in here. But, perfectly good. Couple of weapon swaps, couple of head swaps. It might even be the same kit, I don't know, I've never collected Space Wolves. Yeah, good upgrade kits, lots of parts. You know, you could buy one of each of these boxes or one of this box, and then just part it out and use a load of the gubbins and the heads and the bits in Mark IV, Mark III, Mark VI kits to add some flavour. Now we get to the Scouts. Now these are awful models. Everyone dislikes the Scouts. I kind of feel a bit nostalgic for them because I remember them coming out. Absolutely perfect for Recon Marines in Carapace armour or Recon armour. I don't think they can take the heavy weapons anymore, so you would have to swap those out. But yeah, sniper rifles, you can give them. They come with bolters. Use some plasticard to make a suppressor and put a scope on it. You've got Nemesis bolters. Yeah, absolutely fine. No problems with these guys whatsoever. They drop straight in. These Vanguard veterans, same as the Assault Marines. Most of these guys are wearing, Mark IV, Mark VI, a couple of Mark VII legs in there. Another great source of bits. A little ostentatious again. A lot of these bits are really good for veterans or for the Emperor's Children. There's a couple of really good pads in there for the Emperor's Children, and they've all got loads of bear heads in there. A couple of Mark IV heads as well. The jump pack. Some people will tell you that the jump pack is 40k jump pack and can't be used. That's wrong. I can't remember which book it was. I think it might have been one of the Imperial Armour books. Just after the Blood Angels with the Mark IV Sanguinary Guard pack came out, where it states the Angelus, which is the Mark IV pack, is a newer design than this twin turbine pack. So yeah, this is absolutely canon for the Heresy. Absolutely fine, and a great set of bits. Everything about I've just said for that goes exactly the same for the standard Assault Marine squad as well. Mixes in with some of the other Heresy bits you've got, like your Mark 6. We've all got loads of Mark 6 Marines. If you just clip off the waist and slap the upper torsos from these on those legs, not only do you get a nice height boost, then you've got the Mark 6 legs for everybody, and no one can complain. Also, this is how you do bolt pistols, chainswords, and a heavy chainsword Games Workshop, not in a pack of 5, you morons. And they're plastic. The Stern Guard. Again, Stern Guard veteran squad. Great source of bits. The parts in here for like the Ultramarines and stuff are brilliant. Lots of bits for Thousand Suns as well. Some brilliant pads, brilliant arms. The sword, the hand resting on the sword is great for like an Ultramarines. Like commander, I can't think of the word. There was Telemark or something like that. Again, the helmets, they're all over the place. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. It's got a Mark IV helmet with a really cool optic on it though. And lots of bolters with big drum mags. I've used a lot of those in my Raven Guard. They do all have these loincloths, which is fine because those were quite a common style. This was something that was worn during the Heresy. It's not all just sort of sci-fi. There were still that kind of Greco-Roman stylings about everything. Some people will have problems with like cruxes appearing on them, but the crux symbol, like the one on the top left's knee or on the sergeant's belly plate, that is just a symbol of an elite unit. The crux or cross was present from the beginning of the Great Crusade to mark out veteran units. It's a lot of people getting confused about the Crux Terminatus, which is a specific award being on Terminators. Cruxes are fine. Cruxes on Terminators are absolutely fine as well. Just not on all of them. I actually think that guy might be having Mark 8 legs, so the guy at the front might be a little bit difficult to convert. But again, it could be Artificer armour, which, is handmade by an Artificer. So you could explain it away, just add some studs. When in doubt with the Heresy, add studs. It's really that simple, just add more studs. Chains, that sort of thing. Leather straps, giggity. Next up, the bikes. This kit is ancient, not quite as old as I am, but getting close. Again, totally fine for Siege of Terror. If you're going to do a White Scars army, absolutely fine for you. If you're going to use them for anyone else, anywhere else in the Heresy, you're going to want to do some work on the legs. Luckily, the way they are, it is quite easy to sand the sort of lower edge of the knee pad. You can either sand it flat so that it just becomes a Mark 6 leg, or you can trim down the top and bottom to square them off and make it into a Mark 4 leg. Failing that, stud it up, get the battle acne on there, and you're good to go. Downside is the torso is one piece with the head, so it's stuck in position. So swap it out for a Mark 4 torso or Mark 6, Mark 3. You will have to clip off the dick plate. But throw a different torso on there. Give them a chainsword arm or a bolt pistol arm or something. Give them some cool helmets. Change the backpacks out for some Mark 3 packs or Mark 4 packs, and you're absolutely golden. The Dark Angels bikes are a little bit different. They come with different legs. Some of them, I do believe, they have some Mark 6 legs in this set. But everything, again, absolutely fine to use. Just needs a little bit of refinement here and there. The Scout bikes, however, I do not believe there is any sort of recon bikes in the rules. So you can use them, but you'd have to swap out the riders. That's actually what I'm doing at the moment. I'm trying to do a a unit of Outriders as Salamander Recon bikers, but I need to get some legs made for them. The attack bike, again, absolutely fine to use. Even gets a different option that's not in the kit. You can give them an autocannon, which I have 3 of in my Sons of Horus army. Just swap out the torsos, the heads, and the pack, and fix out the old legs, and you're absolutely fine. The Land Speeder, another 3rd edition kit. Yeah, 3rd edition. It came out with the starter set. This is a good fit for the Proteus pattern Land Speeder. It's just a slightly more up-armoured version of the Proteus, effectively. If you want to make changes, one common conversion I see is they remove the spoiler at the back, they remove the wings on the side, and they move them up into like a dorsal and ventral fin to mimic the classic Rogue Trader look. They also get rid of the middle spar between the gunner and the pilot. Don't bother with the legs on these ones, because you can't see them. So they're absolutely fine to leave them as Mark 7. Anyone who will get their facing close enough to complain about that, I would be slapping to get away from my models, because I don't want your stanky vapour breath all over my models. Just work out how you're going to give them the weapons. All the kit options in there, I believe, can be used. Missile launchers, heavy bolters, melter guns. Plus you have whatever else the Proteus can take. Missile launchers, grav guns, Volkite, double heavy bolters. I think the Blood Angels ones might be able to take the assault cannons. But use it more as a basis for a conversion, and you'll be good to go. The Rhino, or more specifically the Mars pattern Rhino, is absolutely fine. The only change this needs is the Stormbolter needs swapping out for a era appropriate weapon, which we should all have. Anyone should have more than enough of those vehicle upgrade sprues, and you can use those. They fit straight in. The turrets fit into the same hole, no problem at all. Everything I've said about that is the same for the Predators. You can use the Predators. You won't have access to some of the funkier weapons like the plasma cannon, the conversion beamers and stuff. So you will have to do some conversions if you want, but you may have these weapons left over from Dreadnought sprues. So again, get your inner kit basher out. Watch out for things like Stormbolters. You want to make sure there's no Stormbolters on there, and you're good to go. These are absolutely fine. You know, use those extra bits from the vehicle upgrade sprues you've got, like the Eye of Terror or the Raptor Imperialis, or not the Raptor, sorry, the Palatine Eagle that's on there, and slap them on there, and they'll be absolutely fine. Just make sure they look, you know, suitably weathered, because they're going to be a rough-looking vehicle. The Blood Angels Predator is absolutely fine to use. Again, you can use the assault cannons and the flamers and the melter weapons for it. In fact, I think actually the Imperial Fists might get access to the assault cannon version as well, which is pretty cool. Let's have a quick skalook-see. Predator Squadron. Plasma, Flamestorm, Blast Cannons, Graviton, Conversion, yes! Elastus, Assault Cannon. So, this can actually be used by the Imperial. I'm buying one. I'm going to get one of those. I'm going to get one of those to wind so many people up. The Whirlwind. No difference. Whirlwind can be used like this. Absolutely fine. Before I go any further, also going to touch on, just because of the way the turret looks to me, you can use the Razorback parts to make a Command Rhino using the standard Mars pattern. Just throw some bits in together. I'll throw a picture of mine in there as well, and yeah, you can use it. You can't use the Razorback, unfortunately, as the fluff does say. The Razorback was a later creation, post-Heresy creation, and they have yet to retcon that one back out, so yeah, so luckily we're okay with that one. Then we got the Vindicator. We've all seen the Vindicator because we've been talking about the Vindicator because of the plastic release. Yeah, it's the same. There's no difference. Like, how many times do I have to say it? No storm bolters, absolutely fine to use. Don't get access to the laser parts on it. It still looks better, in my opinion. Yeah, go for it. I've just picked up another 2 off Facebook, and they'll be going and joining my Sons of Horus's armoured battalion. The Rhino. Not the Rhino, the Land Raider. Wow, I really am sick, aren't I? The Land Raider here is absolutely fine, but I think this is the Phobos pattern? I don't know, can't remember. My brain is so foggy right now. This is absolutely fine to use as it is. You can look at adding different sponsons to it, because I mean, that's it. You can get them. You can make a Mark IIB version, which has the funky like bunker sides to it. You can pick up upgrade kits for it, 3D printed ones. I'm trying to remember what the name of the guy is. I can't think. But yeah, I mean, this is absolutely fine. The Godhammer las cannons are fine. You've got the heavy bolters there. They can be swapped out for... I think they can be swapped out for assault cannons as well. For... Is it the... No, it's that one. Twin-linked heavy bolter, twin-linked heavy flamer. Ah, no, twin-linked las cannons can go in there. Yeah, so actually, if you've got the parts from things like the, I think it's the Razorback, you can they drop in there as well. So that's absolutely fine. A controversial one, I'm sure, but the Hammerfall bunker is technically now a Heresy unit, as is. No changes needed. It's growing on me. I'm thinking of getting one. I will have to mount it on a base and then blend it into the environment, because just dropping that on the field looks dumb. But apparently this was a unit that was available during the Heresy. So, have at it. My favourite subject, Dreadnoughts. The Chunky Box Boys are a Legends unit now, but they are still absolutely viable. And all versions of it are absolutely fine to use, including the Furioso version and the Space Wolf Murdery version. They're absolutely fine. I don't think the Space Wolf one can have an assault cannon. I might be wrong. However, it's the only one which has a right-handed close combat weapon other than the Blood Angels one, which has its nice claws. The Death Watch, no Death Company, so much death, doesn't have special rules but can be used. The Librarian one doesn't have special rules, or isn't there in there at all, I think. On a side note, I'm very upset that my absolute favourite version, which was the dual Volkite Colvern version, is no longer in the rules whatsoever, and has been completely removed even from Legends, which is just wrong, sickening, and I hate it. Because look at him, he's adorable. Stomping around like, gunslinger style. It's not fair. Devastators. Devastators are absolutely fine. They come with lots of different weapons. It's not exactly a great purchase for the Heresy. However, what you can do is pick this up and use it to make sort of 4 or 5 Armistice from different units. Plus you do get the kneeling reinforced Mark 6 legs, which are nice. I've just got 5 of the multi-melters for this, and I'm just in the process of removing their Mark 7 legs and moving them over to Mark 6 bodies. Drop pods. Drop pods are drop pods are drop pods. There is not much I can say about drop pods. They can be used. That's it. Yeah, drop pods are absolutely fine to use. Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't had a plastic drop pod yet. I really am. So, yeah. Yeah, drop pods, absolutely fine. Ooh, my next favourite conversation topic is Terminators. Now, anyone who has followed the channel for any length of time will know that I have a boatload of Terminators, and Indomitus Terminators are my favourite. So, the Indomitus Terminator kits can be used. They can be used pretty much as is. The only change that's really needed is to swap out the Stormbolters. The Stormbolters need changing on them, and they need swapping over for either close combat weapons, or they need swapping over for combi weapons. The best ones, in my opinion, are the the Deathwing ones. The Deathwing ones are the best, in my opinion, because they have the most amount of bits with them. They come with the missiles on the shoulders, which you can flog on eBay for about a tenner each. They come with loads of different heads, and they also come with all these the maces, which are really cool. They come with the shields, which can be filed flat and used for anyone, or they can just be used for the Dark Angels. And they also come with the right hand. Yeah, the right hand arm has no hand on it, which means they are the easiest to swap out to combi bolters or to Volkite Serpentas or whatever, or any, whatever weapon you want to put in there. Whereas all the others have the weapons moulded onto, like the hands moulded onto the arm, which makes things a little difficult. I must admit I've never had the Space Wolf one, so I can't actually comment on that one. That might do. So yeah, the Space Wolf one looks absolutely fine, apart from the assault cannon. I'm pretty sure they can't take that assault cannon. The hammer and shields and lightning claws, no problem, drop in. I would remove the Crux Terminatus from 90% of them and leave them on maybe the sergeants, or anyone who's carrying like the Vexella, or something like that, just to avoid the conflict from the ignorant people. If you're looking for a nice easy swap out for a shoulder pad, the Aggressor shoulder pad from the Primaris upgrade kits, the ones which will be on the left hand side with the chapter icon on them, is a drop-in fit and looks absolutely fine. Yeah, so that's about it really. If you're going to get rid of them, trim off as much as you can with your blade, and then use some emery boards, the little sanding sticks, and just polish it all the way back up to the highest grain or grit you can get, so that you get a really nice mirror sheen on them, so they're nice and smooth. Or use a Dremel like a normal person. I do like the Blood Angels Terminators. I do have a plan to do a full Terminator force of Blood Angels, who are the guys that teleport onto the Vengeful Spirit right at the end of the Heresy, but that is a long way off. The Terminator Captain model. Love this model. He's a great model. My only complaint with this model is the fact he doesn't come with a helmet. If he came with a helmet, I'd have no complaints about this model. So yeah, it's currently only available through the Deathwatch page, so he might be a little different to the standard one. But yeah, the Terminator Captain, absolutely fine. Just swap out the Stormbolter for a Combi Bolter. Now, if you are careful and use a very sharp knife and a good pair of clippers, you can remove this Stormbolter and replace it with a combi bolter without losing the cool strap, which is easier said than done. It's a little difficult to do. The Blood Angels Terminator Librarian, absolutely fine to use. Yeah, being the Blood Angels, they were already wearing an awful lot of gumph. Has a great two-handed axe. Just remove the crux and you're good to go. Swap out the pistol, or the combi bolter, sorry. Is that a combi bolter? Is it a storm bolter? I don't know, that might be okay to leave on. I'd swap it out, but that's just 'cause it's me. Arjac Rock something or other. That would be a pretty cool late Heresy Praetor. One thing you can do with Indominus Terminators, if you really like them and want to use them, is to take the shoulder pads off and simply give them Tartarus pattern shoulder pads and run them as Tartarus pattern Terminators. They look no different to regular Tartarus. They look, slightly different, but they fit Tartarus pads really well. With a resin model like this, you would have to clip them off. Pretty bad though, because I don't think these shoulder pads are separate. The Stormcaller, the only Terminator who has a pistol on his belt, which is fine. I think all Terminators should carry more gumph on their belts. I think he's also the only Terminator that's got, or one of the only, that's got two small hands, no power fist or anything. Might only be the characters that do that. He's absolutely fine to use. Bit iconic for 40k, however. So you might want to get rid of the Raven. Maybe not. Might want to leave him as he is. It's a good model. I should pick this up at some point. This one's going to be controversial. I love this model, apart from the wolves. I hate the wolves. I love the idea of a grav longship for Space Wolves. And Logan Grimnar makes a brilliant Space Wolf Praetor. I think he looks phenomenal like that. And he can't obviously take a bike or anything while wearing Terminator armour. But that's exactly how I'd run him, is a bike with Terminator armour in this thing, with chop the wolves off, and that's it. Oh, seriously, give me this. Stretch it forward, stretch it out so it's a full longship, grav longship thing. And I'd run that as a proxy Rhino, and I would do an entire Imperial Space Wolf Viking longship army in a heartbeat. Anyone out there who's got a 3D printer, who's a designer, wants to make that for me, just drop me a message. Oh, that would be great. I'm going to pick this model up at some point. Techie Marines. 2 Tech Marines, or 3 Tech Marine models here. The first one is one with the Thunderfire cannon. You would split this off. Tech Marine as one part of the unit, or as a single unit, is absolutely fine. He looks like he's wearing some sort of almost Mark II armour, where it's segmented down. Just give him a power axe and you're good to go. Swap the Thunderfire cannon is now just a quad mortar. If you can, just tilt it up and give it 2 Tactical Marines as crew. Yeah, you're good to go. The other Tech Marine, I don't believe they can take servitors anymore. That might only be the Forge Lord. Even if he can, I'm not entirely sure he can actually take them anymore. Which kind of sucks. Yeah, it doesn't look like he can take them either. Oh well. Yeah, so the servitors you'd have to gumph off somewhere else, but he's a brilliant Tech Marine model. I maybe swap out the bolter for a more Heresy looking bolter, but yeah, good to go. No complaints there whatsoever. Space Wolf, Iron Father, is that what they call it? Iron Wolf, something like that. I don't know. Good model. Only thing that he's swapping out is the pistol, unless you're going to run it as an Architect pistol. If he as a Forge Sword. Pardon me. So yeah, he's a lovely model. Very reminiscent of 2nd edition, with that slight patina kind of hammered look to the armour around the legs. Very reminiscent of the early lead models that had that sort of texture on them. Really like that. Again, nice model. Might think about picking that up. The Chapter Command, I think this is called. absolutely fine to use. Yeah, this is... Yeah, there's no problem with this. I mean, you can't really use them all as individual parts, like individual units, sorry. However, the parts that come in this kit, the apothecary parts, the company champion parts, the Mark 5 torsos, the captain, the banners, can all be used to make different parts. I know you see here my Thousand Suns, my Praetor is made from that captain model at the front, the Herald is using bits from the standard bearer, the apothecary is using parts from the apothecary. It's a 35 quid or something box set that gives you a lot of bits that can be used across a lot of different units. It's almost a no-brainer. Definitely worth picking that up. Plus the plasma pistol arm is really cool at that angle. Just you don't get many sort of arms at that angle. The sword's not so great though. Brother Bethor. Yeah, this guy actually has a name. He's that old. He's a slight re-release of a model that came out during 2nd edition, who was known as Brother Bethor. He now has a sculpted banner and his own sculpted arm, whereas before he had no banner, just the stick, and no arm, and he just came with the standard arm and chainsaw sprue that came with all the plastic models, or metal models. Absolutely fine as a herald, or a company, what they called, command squad. The command squad banner bearer for a Siege of Terror Siege of Terror Dark Angels force. I suppose any of these robed ones could also probably get away with being used as word bearers if you trimmed off all the sword and blade iconography. I mean, this one's a bit too much to do, but anyone wearing these like pyjamas. Speaking of pyjamas, Asmodai. Nothing on that screams 40k particularly, so yeah, good to go. There were chaplains in 30k. He would make a great word bearer as well if you trimmed off some of the Dark Angels details. As would the other Dark Angels chaplain, who's a great model. That chest piece looks phenomenal. That sodding great big power fist as well. No problem, drop him straight in. The last chaplain, he's a little hard to get a hold of now. He never seems to stay in stock very often. Honestly, the only thing I'd swap out here is the head. I'd give him a normal like Mark 3 or Mark 4 helmet. He's wearing Artificer armour. I think he's technically wearing Mark 5 because it's a mixture of armour. But he's good to go. Yeah. Another controversial one, because some people say he's Primaris and some people say he's not, but the Chunky Castellan is wearing Mark 6 legs and Mark 5, so he's wearing Mark 5 armour. There is nothing wrong with this guy for being used in Heresy. Absolutely fine to use. The only thing I'd change is maybe the bolter. Yeah, that's about it. Maybe the bolter, but because I'd probably give him a different weapon, maybe a plasma pistol or something like that. Actually, I'd probably trim off the cable off the bottom of the axe, and I'd extend the axe handle down with some brass rod or something, and make it so he's got a two-handed axe. That's what I would do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick this model up at some point. Dinky Dante. Dinky Dante is a very small model nowadays. He's absolutely tiny. Is about to be replaced, but would fit as a diminutive Blood Angels Praetor or Assault Marine Captain or something like that. You could try chopping his legs and lengthening him a bit. It might be a little difficult because there is so much sculpted detail there. But thematically, there's nothing there that's not really Heresy appropriate. He's just tiny. The most edgy of edgelords, the next chaplain. Nothing here is particularly un-Heresy either. He just style-wise is just a bit off for the 41st millennium in general. The only part of this model I really like is the helmet. The rest of him is just a bit too curved, smooth. Don't know. Just looks a bit too generic sci-fi to be a Space Marine. The Sanguinor. Same as Dante. Nothing here particularly screams not 30k. This could be a Praetor wearing, the Terran death masks that were referenced by Arkan Land. Swap out the cup, the chalice, for something else, just a blank hand or a pistol or something. No, not a problem at all. Only problem with this is it's going to be slightly small nowadays. But that's not really a problem. I didn't catch this guy's name. I know he has a name, but I think he's just down on the website as a Wolf Lord now. He's got Mark 6 legs. He's wearing Mark 6 armour. Swap out the bolt pistol for a more Heresy era looking equivalent, and you're good to go. This guy's great, actually. He's a pretty good model. Don't like the head, though. The Librarian. Now, I've seen a lot of people use this. It's a good model. Never had it myself. Realistically, the only thing that needs changing is the legs, and I've seen a lot of people swap the legs over for Mark III legs, and it looks fantastic. All in all, yeah, highly recommend doing this. Looks good, and you could quite easily just snip the staff head off, replace it with an axe head or something. Get yourself a really cool looking force axe there as well. The Space Wolf's Rune Priest. This guy's in Mark 7 armour, so you might struggle, because simply there is so much going on around him, around his legs, that it might be a little difficult to add the studs in to make it look like Mark 5 armour. If you can do it, power to you, and it's a lovely model. But again, you might struggle because there's just they're all in the wrong places to, this will cover all the studs. No, it's not. It's going to go halfway through one of the studs, sort of thing. So you could make it work. Nothing about it screams 40k other than the legs, which again you can just stud up, slap the old battle acne on there, and you should be good to go. Samael, Master of the Ravenwing. Jet bikes are a 30k thing. Dark Angels on jet bikes are a very 30k thing. Yeah, he could just drop in Praetor on a bike, absolutely fine. Maybe to make him look a little less like Samael, drill out the head and replace it with a helmet. Maybe leave the book off the front of the bike. Other than that, he's absolutely good to go. Wish he wasn't so expensive, because I really want to get this one as well. The Sanguinary Guard, the off-maligned. This is like the #1 complaint from Blood Angels players that I meet, is that they don't have rules for the Sanguinary Guard. And Games Workshop has basically turned around and gone, run them as a command squad. Which is fine, yeah. Zephon, the Blood Angels character that came out of Black Library a while back, dresses like this during the Siege of Terror. The Sanguinary Guard are well known. This is how they dress, in this ancient Terran death masks and very ornate armour. They are absolutely fine to use. Honestly, the only thing I would change is the pistols. I just despise wrist-mounted pistols. I think they look dumb as anything. So I would swap all of those out, and that's it. Personally, I might swap the legs out for Mark III legs, because there's some good art where these guys are wearing Mark III armour. Yeah, as they are, they're absolutely fine. The Master of the Deathwing, Belial. Swap out the Stormbolter, and he's just a Terminator Praetor. In Indomitus armour, so run it as Cataphracti or as Tartarus, just rule of cool it. Yeah, absolutely fine. The man with the cup of lean. Again, nothing here. Swap out the chalice for a bolt pistol, and he's fine. A bit spiky, but absolutely fine to use. If you want to make him look a bit more heresy, throw a Mark IV or Mark V helmet on there. But Other than that, yeah, the Sanguinary Priest is absolutely fine to use as just as an apothecary or a... Oh, what are they called? I can't think today, sorry guys, it's just... brain slowly turning to mush. Primus Medicae. That's the words I was looking for. Run him as a Primus Medicae, you're absolutely fine. Ulfric. Lovely model. Absolutely lovely model. I wouldn't even bother putting the studs on. I just, yeah, it's Mark 5 armour. It's got the reinforcements on it. Maybe if you're feeling up to it, trim out the Crozius and replace it with an axe head, because this Crozius Maul is more of a 40k thing. It's still acceptable. It's just a maul. Maybe snip off the sigil on the back, because that's a specific Great Company sigil. Yeah, no, he's absolutely fine. Brilliant model, perfect pose. Another brilliant model that's a lot older than Ulfric but needs an update. Ezekiel, Grand Master of the Librarians. Only change since I got Ezekiel is he now comes with a sculpted banner, which is lovely. Back in the day we had to print out or used to get stickers with some of them, where you could peel off the banner and then fold it over. And they were literal little paper banners. Kind of miss that. That was quite a good time. Yeah, nothing about this guy is particularly 40k or not 30k. I was planning on picking him up, snipping the feet off, and then adding the lower, maybe third of some Mark 3 legs to it to give him that little boost of height and really solidify his 30k like look. I don't know if I'm going to pick this up. I do hope he gets a re-release in 10th. He does kind of need it. So that is every single kit currently listed on the Games Workshop website for 40k for the Space Marines. Now, this video is already sitting at a whopping 47.5 minutes long. That's insane. How have I managed to talk for nearly an hour? Oh my god. So, last up is this guy, the old Judo Chop. Just to say that I will do a part 2 of this video at some point, which will cover the Chaos kits. It's a lot shorter video, I hope, but the Chaos kits that can be used for the Heresy. So thank you for watching. Let me know how much, how full of shit I am. That you can't hear me through this entire video because the fan's been so loud. Or that you just disagree completely with every single thing I've said here, and just stick it in the comments and call me a loser. My name is Bando. This is Breakfast with Bando. And I'm going to go find me some Vicks Vapor Rub. Stay classy, widows.